Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And this is actually going to be a retail lot in the world of Mt.Komorebi. The second I realized when I saw the trailers for this pack that we were getting snowboarding and skiing, I knew I wanted to make kind of like an extreme sports outlet, which is why I think I'm titling this the X-Treme outlet. I'm not really sure, but essentially this is where you can buy your skiing and snowboarding equipment, as well as rock climbing equipment and some like outdoor outfits like gear and stuff like that. So I'm thinking snowsuits or hats and gloves, boots, all that fun stuff. And granted, we know that we are limited in The Sims 4 with what we can buy, but I thought it was kind of a neat thing to do. And I modeled the look of this building off of the shell. When I say shell, I just mean basically the building that's in kind of that town center that looks as though it's a retail space for you to buy snowboarding and skiing and rock climbing stuff, but you can't do anything with it, which this is just me, I personally think it was a missed opportunity because even though I don't own Journey to Batu, I do know that there were kind of like these little shell areas where your Sims could you could click on it and your sim would go inside, then there would be a pop-up for you to go through a menu and like purchase different items. And I thought that that was kind of a nice, happy mix between a rabbit hole and a functional lot. And I was really hoping that what looked like this kind of like sports outdoors store in the center of Mt.Komorebi was going to function like that, and it didn't. So I was kind of bummed. And what I decided to do is essentially try to build that building, but make it a little bit more colorful, a little bit more detailed and stuff like that. And I wanted to make it a retail lot, but I will say that unfortunately, the way that I placed the skis and snowboards in this build means that your Sims won't be able to reach them to actually purchase. So I learned this a while ago, and I actually need to credit Hey Harry. If you guys don't follow her on YouTube, definitely do so. But a while ago, when the Ego Lifestyle pack came out, I made a juice bar, and I had placed a bunch of individual like bottles of juice and boxes on the shelves, and I cluttered it up like crazy because I was thinking that it was a place where your Sims could go buy all of these prepackaged juices and fizzy juices. That's what they're called, right? And yeah, I realized that your Sims couldn't reach them because I had the move objects on cheat. So if you place objects with that cheat and then set them for sale, your Sims won't be able to reach them technically to purchase them. It's like a weird routing issue. And that is not due to the new patch, that is just the way it is. So the way in which I place the snowboards and skis, your Sims won't be able to reach them, which is why you guys probably just saw me place the Bits and Baubles, I believe it is, vending machine outside. So granted, this is basically just a shell. It's for show. You can't really buy the items that are in there, except for the outfits, because I did place mannequins in there and then put like outdoor wintry outfits on them, and you can purchase those outfits, which is fine. So there is some functionality within the building itself, but if you want the skis and snowboards, essentially what I'm trying to say is you have to use the vending machine, which is really disappointing. I was really hopeful that since I moved the skis and snowboards in this build with the tool mod, that it wouldn't be an issue. I was kind of thinking like, well, technically the game might perceive it as being clipped to the floor, right? Because I did basically just use the rotating option, I want to say, like the rotating functionality as well as the moving functionality. It was a little bit challenging because I realized that I couldn't actually tilt the skis or snowboards to lean against the wall, which was my initial thought, kind of like how they're stacked in those display pieces outside. I wanted to actually like lean them up against the walls and stuff like that, but considering that these objects clipped to the ground, I couldn't do it. So all I could do is basically lift them up, but I still think it looked really nice. So here I'm using the tool mod, raising them up, and then I just use, I don't even know what these are called, but they technically go on the outside of a house, but I use them as kind of like little arms. Is that the appropriate way to think about it? But essentially creating these little shelves to display all of these different snowboards. And I thought it looked really, really cool. I was really pleased with it. I'm glad I figured out a way to do it. But again, these are the ones that your Sims can't reach. So it's kind of a bummer, but what I did is I placed a couple of little like benches underneath them because I would assume, because I've never skied or snowboarded in my entire life, but I would assume that you would have to get fitted for these kinds of things because, well, one, you're going to need boots, so that's one thing, but you're probably going to have to get fitted for these kinds of things because having like a custom fit for gear like this means that you're probably going to be more comfortable, and I would assume it's going to be easier to maneuver compared to having like a rental piece. That's just an assumption. Definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I would kind of assume. And here I was trying to kind of make this a display for clothes, thinking that they were like winter outfits, but I ended up really not liking it, and I played around with it for some time. And what I ended up doing is I actually just used one of the decoration items that we got with Snowy Escape. They're like these little, they almost look like the Russian nesting dolls to me, but they kind of look like little eggs and they have little faces on them, and I really like them, and I don't remember what they're called, but I end up plucking those out and putting a ton of them just around one of those lower display shelves and setting those for sale as well. However, I'm now just realizing, wow, I really messed it up. I'm now just realizing that I used the Move Objects cheat, so you won't be able to buy those either, which kind of stinks. But I think you can buy some of the other things that are actually on like the register, like the front desk there. There are a few different options. The main purpose was to be able to buy skis and snowboards and stuff like that and outfits, so that'll work to the best that it can. But yeah, I'm kind of decorating here, just pulling out some signs and this little magazine stand. And downstairs is where all the snowboards are. There's also a television behind the front desk. And then there are a couple of couches just as like a little seating area, which I thought was nice because I'm thinking of this place being crowded with tourists trying to buy a bunch of gear. And maybe there are a couple of family members who are either done shopping or really had no interest in being there. And I always like in stores when there is a place to kind of sit and relax while someone else shops. So I thought that that was kind of important in a build like this. And I also created a little tea bar, and I thought that was kind of a nice touch as well because I was thinking that this would be a great place to get a nice hot cup of tea and sit and relax while others shopped. It was a little bit more of a relaxing shopping experience compared to pure chaos is what I would be imagining. But I don't know, I kind of stuck with this gray, white, and blue theme throughout too, because to me it just screams winter, and I really liked how it all kind of came together. We had a lot of swatches of things from Snowy Escape that really matched that, and I don't know, it was just a really fun build. I really liked it, and it took a lot longer than I was anticipating. And, oh, I should probably mention that you definitely will have noticed at this point that I'm using the reshade again that I typically use for screenshots. And I mentioned this in my last speed build that I don't really like it for building. I did a few builds, so this is one of the ones that was pre-recorded, basically. I pre-recorded maybe 2 or 3, I want to say, builds with this reshade just to kind of test it out in different environments with different objects, kind of see if I would come around to it, but I really don't like it for building, so don't get used to seeing it. I'm probably going to go back to the reshade that I've been using for forever at this point for building. But yeah, it's mainly because of the transparency issues, and sometimes it just creates like really harsh shadows on certain objects that I don't want it to create harsh shadows on. I don't mind it for screenshots because I have a little bit more control over the severity and kind of what I capture, but for building it just seemed a little too much. So definitely sound off in the comments, let me know what you think too. I think I asked that in the last speed build I used this in as well, just because I really wasn't sure, but I don't think I'm going to be using it anymore after this build and maybe one more that I have pre-recorded. And now we're moving on upstairs. So this is where all of these skis will be displayed, but they'll be displayed just like the snowboards downstairs. And there is only one bathroom in this build as well. It is for any sim to use, and it is only one toilet. So hopefully this place doesn't get too crowded because there might be a line for the bathroom. But there are also mannequins upstairs with different outfits. I tried to do, I think it was 2 kids outfits, or 4 kids outfits, my apologies, 4 kids outfits, and I believe 4 adult outfits that are on display in the store. So there are a couple of options, which I really liked, and it was really fun to kind of play around with more of the Create-A-Sim items because I didn't explore them too much when the pack came out. I think I mainly gravitated towards looking at the hairs compared to the clothing, because in my head, I have seasons, right? So I already have a lot of cold weather outfits and pieces of clothing in Create-A-Sim, but for those who don't have seasons, it would probably be pretty exciting to have that kind of clothing in your game. But yeah, I wasn't too excited about it, so I didn't really gravitate towards that. I kind of looked at the hairs and or makeup and stuff like that. But yeah, it was kind of fun to build some different outfits because there are some very specific looks depending on the sport. It seems like there were some rock climbing outfits that I decided that they were going to have helmets, but I would assume you'd probably want a helmet snowboarding and stuff too. I don't know. It's actually very early in the morning for me right now, and I don't really have my head on straight, so this voiceover is going to be a little bit rambly. I also haven't done a voiceover now in a long time. I have pre-recorded maybe 3 or 4 builds now, and a lot of them are actually pretty significant. Like they're pretty big, at least the other 2 that I'm going to be doing voiceovers for very soon. And yeah, I haven't done a voiceover in a while now. I've just been building and recording, so I haven't actually talked about a build for some time. And I always end up getting rambly when I haven't done that in a significant amount of time. And I also just had my morning coffee, which I was off coffee for a while. I actually ditched like all caffeine, and then I decided to have a small cup of coffee, and I've noticed I've now had coffee every morning for the past 3 or 4 days, so got to keep that in check. But anyway, I am building another little kind of like display shelf here. There are couches on either side as well. I just thought it was kind of nice to have a couple of more places to sit up here if someone was shopping. That way you don't have to, I don't know, go up and down the stairs all the time. And there are just a couple of clothing displays there. And as you can see, there are the child mannequins in the center. And I don't know, I thought it was just really cute. I thought it was something that would really fit into this world. And it was functionality that I wish we had with that shell lot that was in the Mt.Komorebi Center. So I was actually really proud of it. And I think that even though there are some functionality limitations, it would still be a really cool addition to gameplay in this world. So I'm excited to actually play with it myself. It was fun to play test. So hopefully you guys enjoy it and you have fun with it if you place it in your game. And now we're just working on the one and only bathroom, like I mentioned earlier, and that is actually pretty much it for the build. So I hope you guys did enjoy this, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
I'm a mess. Don't know how I got here, but I'm blessed. Didn't know it'd take me past my destiny. You're behind me with the rest, 'cause I'm a mess. No more you.
And I go home. You said things could only get better. I needed more than ever. They don't. How can I believe you when everything is see-through? Everything is see-through. Everything is see-through. Everything is see-through. How can I believe it when everything is see-through? You see through. Gotta make space for the new you, like I'm old news in your review mirror.